Hello, I'm Jack Heath, author of Hangman, Hunter, and now Hideout, available in all good bookstores. In Hideout, Timothy Blake, troubled FBI consultant, finds himself at a rural house in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by forest and populated entirely by other killers. Which is fine, because Blake is planning to murder them all in their sleep. But when one of the other murderers turns up dead, Blake realizes he might not be the only person in the house who has this plan. You don't really need to know anything about Hangman or Hunter to read Hideout. I try to write every book so as it stands alone, but it wouldn't hurt if you knew that Timothy Blake once worked for the FBI and also ate people. So, cannibal, FBI. That's really all you need to know. I think I've always just written the kinds of books that I wanted to read. So when I was a kid and a teenager, I was writing teenage fiction, and now that I'm an adult, I'm still writing kids and teenage fiction because it's something I have a lot of experience doing and because I have children of my own. But also sometimes I just want to treat myself to writing the kind of book that really thrills me. So that's why I wanted to write a crime series for adults, and I'm really pleased that it's going so well and I get to keep doing it. Writing for kids and writing for adults isn't anywhere near as different as you would think or even hope. The basic process of it, like trying to create suspense and include plenty of surprises and mix in scares and humor and stuff, it's all pretty much the same. The main difference just is that when you're writing for kids, there are certain areas that you can't touch, landmines that you don't want to step on. Whereas when I'm writing for adults, I like to intentionally step on all of those landmines just to see what'll happen. Timothy Blake has some pretty big flaws, it's true. He is dishonest, he is sometimes violent, he is self-loathing, and he eats people. So, a bit of a mixed bag all put together. But I wasn't really interested in writing about heroic heroes. There's some satisfaction in seeing good guys and bad guys and watching them fight and watching the bad guys eventually lose, but I'm usually interested in characters who populate that sort of grey area between black and white, and who do bad things and good things, and it makes them unpredictable. It makes it hard for the reader to guess what Timothy Blake is going to do, and stories that keep you guessing are the kinds of stories that I enjoy reading, so they've become the kind that I enjoy writing as well. When I first started writing, I think I got really hung up on the idea of being taken seriously as a writer. And in retrospect, I think that did more harm than good. I'm no longer interested in being taken seriously. I'm only interested in taking my own work seriously. And I'm not interested in readers taking my books seriously either. I'm only interested in them enjoying them. So I guess I used to focus too much on respect and not enough on enjoyment. Now I like to think I've found the right balance. I like to make entirely new settings for my books because then you don't have to get caught up in what the reality is. Like, reality doesn't interfere with your work. You can do whatever you want. So that's why in Hideout I decided to set it in a fictitious house in a fictitious forest that is in the state of Texas, but it's my own sort of noir, distorted version of Texas. Texas isn't actually like this. I've been there. It's quite a nice place, really. I recently purchased the entire discography of Ghetto Funk, which is a recording label in the UK, and mostly what they do is they do modern DJ remixes of classic funk songs, and that keeps me not only focused on my writing, well, it doesn't always keep me focused, okay, sometimes it's a little bit distracting, but I do find it very energetic. I sit there kind of bobbing along to the funk tunes and then typing, and it stops me from falling into that slump of, oh, okay, I feel like I've done a full day's work. How many words have I written? 6. Oh, so much typing. So yeah, the funk kind of keeps the beat going inside my chest. I've written in a lot of genres over the years. One of the nice things about writing for kids is that you get to experiment with a bunch of different genres. Adults are less forgiving of writers who don't kind of stay in their lane, if that makes sense. But I think in the future, I might like to write something historical. That's something that I've never tried. And I might like to write some fantasy because I play Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm starting to get a feel for how fantasy fiction works. But ultimately, I'm having a lot of fun with Timothy Blake and this crime series. So I'm kind of keen to keep riding that particular train and see how far it goes before it reaches the last station. I've read a lot of books over the years and I have a lot of favourites, but there's one that I've had a kind of crush on for a really long time. It's called How I Became a Famous Novelist by Steve Healy, and it's a novel, it's fiction. It's about a guy, a pretty terrible person. Here we go, terrible protagonists. This is where my influences come from, but he's like a kind of a loser, but he gets an email invitation to his ex-girlfriend's wedding and he decides to go, but before that he decides to try to humiliate her by becoming a famous novelist before the wedding to convince her that she made the wrong choice when she left him all those years ago. And the reason that I like it, it's not just that it's a really funny story, and it is, but it's sprinkled with all these extracts from other novels which don't exist. So Steve Healy just came up with a bunch of other novel ideas and inserts sort of random chapters of those ideas here and there. So as this character on his journey, he meets all these other novelists and you get to see their work. It's a very difficult thing to describe, but I think it's a beautiful piece of literature. I've read it several times. I may go back for more. So that's How I Became a Famous Novelist by Steve Healy, and I wish I had written it. It's very clever.